Let's talk about that a little bit, because you have Graham Plattner in Maine, you have Al Sayed, who has had his own controversies, you have candidates who are not perfect, and the Democratic Party establishment's response seems to be to push them immediately to drop out and clear the path for no one in most cases. But you look at how Republicans have run candidates, and there's a strain of the Democratic Party that says, I wish we could run candidates who weren't perfect and who had good policies but didn't have to be choir boys. Have we finally got to that point where we're accepting candidates who are not perfect because they can win?
I think not because they can win. I think because they move people. I don't think that calculation is, I think Graham Plattner could win so I can support him. It's Graham Plattner had been inspiring people. Corporate media gives an assist to corporate Democrats. Every time a Democrat goes on TV, they go, make them answer to Graham Plattner. Meanwhile, Tommy Tuberville has spewed the most anti-Muslim garbage I've heard in the modern era in the last few months. He's the Republican nominee for governor of Alabama, and he's in the Senate, and they do not ask Republicans. What do you think about Tommy Tuberville saying Muslims are the enemy within, or that Muslims shouldn't be in this country? And you talk about Muslims killing people in America, which is not true at all. Like the ginning up of hate. If Graham Plattner was saying anti-Semitic stuff, was saying stuff, Nazi-like stuff, I can assure you he would not have won the Democratic nomination. So when the idea of, he has a tattoo from 18 years ago and didn't get rid of it, that doesn't define him today, because that's not what he's talking about. If he said things consistent with a tattoo that reflected a Nazi tattoo, I can assure you he would have lost horribly. So what moved people was they didn't care about that, because that's not who he is today. They cared about his message on policy. It's going to change people's lives. It's revving up the base. Issues like the Middle East again, which I've been Palestinian all my life. It was never a good thing to talk about being about Palestine. All of a sudden now, people like me. It's like it's almost uncomfortable. I liked it better when no one liked me. It's like just a few people like me, a small club. So I think it doesn't matter your past. If the person is today is someone that inspires people on policy and on personal charisma as well.
I think voters have been crystal clear what they find disqualifying and what they don't find disqualifying. Graham Plattner is an example. Yeah, he's got some black marks on his record. He's got some things that I think people are welcome to judge that, and Maine voters are welcome to judge that. And you know what they did? And they assessed their options, and they said, despite the fact that I might not agree with everything this guy has done before he decided to sign up for public life, I believe in his message on the war in Iran. I believe on his message on economic populism. I believe on his message on giving power back to working people over the well-connected. So I think I have more confidence that he's going to represent my interest in Maine than Susan Collins. Voters figured that out. Let them figure it out. And if the line is if it's too much for voters, voters will tell you. Because honestly, I actually think, and look, Democrats are going to have to get over being kind of precious about who's in their coalition. And I think the strategy consultant class of the Democratic Party, which, guilty as charged, I'm probably a part of it, is going to have to get some religion and get comfortable with voters telling them about where their lines are and what is disqualifying and what's not disqualifying. But ultimately, voters will also tell you, hey, that doesn't work for me. And the thing that's going to bother them the most is if you're disingenuous and if they don't trust you, which is the bigger threat to any of these candidates who have these things in their past. If voters feel like they don't have a measure of you, if they feel like they don't have a sense of who you are, that is a bigger problem than any of the individual things that these folks all bring to the table in the form of an oppo dump. If voters feel like you've sold them a bill of goods and you're not genuinely and honestly who you said you were, yeah, they're pissed at you and they're gonna kick you off the island. But if you're straight up with them, give voters the opportunity to get to know you and take the measure of you.
Yeah, treat voters like adults is what we need to start doing. Instead of letting the DNC decide who voters should be able to vote for, let voters decide. Shocking. That's right. Amazing idea.
And voters have good standards. I think voters, by and large, particularly Democratic Party voters, I'll just make a point here. There's often a thing that's brought up about black voters, which I think is so fascinating. Like black voters can't deal with, some of the challenges of kind of the hard decisions associated with making political decisions. Black voters in particular, who are the real core, a core constituency of the Democratic Party, are among the most savvy voters in America. Because black voters told you who could win in 2020, Black voters got behind Barack Obama when the time was right. Black voters put folks like Raphael Warnock in the Senate. Black voters have a pretty good record of showing up. And I think that Democratic Party constituencies across the board actually have a pretty good record of figuring out who represents them and their interests the best.
Yeah, absolutely.